recording. And I'm sharing the screen. Share screen. I thought I was sharing. Share the screen. Share the screen. Hit present mode. And let's get started. Cool. Thank you for everyone who showed up. I'm going to sit down if you'll allow me. And I'm recording and sharing my screen. Got my chat going on. And we'll get started. So thanks for coming today. The conversation is LinkedIn is a serious business tool. And this is just a high level discussion. I'm going to share with you some tips. It'll take me about a maximum 25 minutes to go through this. Feel free again to use the chat as we're having this conversation, and I will I'll respond to the chats where I can, where relevant and appropriate. But I'm absolutely going to answer as many questions as you want to ask me. If not during my chat, then at the very end, but the Q&A segment. So cool. So those who don't know me, I'm Teddy Burriss. I'm a LinkedIn strategist, trainer, coach, consultant. My purpose is to help business professionals use LinkedIn as a business tool. I'm a Sandler sales trained. I'm a Dale Carnegie professional development graduate coach, DDI leadership trainer, certified social media strategist, certified career coach, Toastmaster, and I've been there and done that many, many times over and over. I love what I do. I've written 2 books on it. I got 6 ebooks, predominantly about LinkedIn, almost 700 videos on YouTube, and about 5,100 core answers focused on LinkedIn and networking. And I absolutely enjoy what I do every day, teaching people how to use LinkedIn as a business tool. So why should we use LinkedIn as a business tool versus just simply having a profile? Well, first of all, it's the world's largest professional networking site. By hands down, the world's largest professional networking site. There's 720, probably close to 740 million LinkedIn members today. There's over 56 million company pages on LinkedIn today. 114,000 universities, colleges, schools of various types, trade schools on LinkedIn. And this is an interesting stat. About 25% of all LinkedIn members get on LinkedIn at least every other week. Now that sounds low. However, listen to this. In 2019, 25% of all LinkedIn members got on once a month. It's nearly doubled the activity. And I can tell it based on what I see going on when I'm using LinkedIn. Why should we use LinkedIn as a business tool? Because LinkedIn profiles are highly indexed by Google and Bing. And you can show up in the right search if you build your profile out right. Your LinkedIn network can create some really cool connections if you do it right to the influencers, which are the people who can introduce you to your target audience. And it creates a great channel or portal to new business conversations. If you build your network right, it can make that happen. Relevant engagement and content sharing on LinkedIn is a great way to build your professional brand and your reputation. And notice I started with relevant engagement, not content sharing, because it's the engagement that is the most important. Why should we use LinkedIn as a business tool? Because LinkedIn search is fast and powerful. And it really can, used right, it can be a great tool to find the right people that you want to get into conversations with. Sales Navigator, which is another product, LinkedIn product, a little bit different than LinkedIn, is even more powerful. Way more search tools, way more functionality. Why use LinkedIn to achieve our goals? I do not cold call. I no longer need to cold call. I've created a set of processes using LinkedIn and Sales Navigator that I don't need to cold call anymore. And that has been phenomenal for me over the last 14 years. 2007, I really got serious about LinkedIn. Any questions, feel free to drop them in chat and I'll be happy to answer them. So when you're using LinkedIn, as when you're using any other tool, you got to measure, is it working? Let me show you some ways to measure, is LinkedIn working for you? Well, first of all, there's a feature in LinkedIn, it's tied to Sales Navigator called Social Selling Index, SSI score. And you can look at your SSI score. Ignore the rankings where you're comparing yourself to others. But instead, look at those 4 components of your SSI score. The first one is establishing my professional brand. How clear and concise is my LinkedIn profile based on who I say I am and what I do? And the more clear and concise your profile is, and the more you build it out, the higher that ranking goes, and the better and the more likely you're going to get discovered by your target audience. Second number is finding the right people. Am I connecting with the right people on LinkedIn based on who I say I am and what I do? Now, I struggle to push that one over 20, predominantly because, first and foremost, I'm a business consultant teaching LinkedIn as a business tool, but I'm also a career coach. So not only am I connecting with business owners, business leaders, and sales professionals, but I also connect with people who are in a job search. The third number is engaging with insights. Mine's a little lower now than it normally is, predominantly because I have not been engaging as much as I used to be. I got to get back into the engagement, because the more you engage with the right people, with the right content relevant to who you are and what you do, the more that metric goes up. And the fourth number in this list is building relationships. Am I building relationships that are highly intertwined, or are they a bunch of one-offs? And so if you build your relationships that are highly intertwined, it makes your network much more useful and richer, and can help you in your business or your career. So Dawn asks, where do I find the social selling index? It's right here. I'm going to drop it in chat. There it is there. So grab that and hang on to it, because you can go look at it later. Here's another set of numbers to pay attention to. It's in your dashboard on your LinkedIn profile. And that is, first one is who's viewed your profile. For me, it's important to pay attention to who's viewed my profile. It's also important for me to do everything I can to get the right people to view my profile. I don't worry too much about the article views, but when I copied the screen, I had an article that just got 92 views. But look at the next number, search appearances. 505 times I showed up in search appearances. And that's important to me if the right people are searching and they're finding me based on the right words. And you can look at your search appearances and get some idea about who's looking for you. I'm not going to be able to tell you clearly, but you can also look and see what kind of keywords they use when they search for you. The next number, don't freak out on this, because most people do. This is the size of my LinkedIn network, roughly. It's grown a little bit lately. But every single connection I make, I engage with in very deliberate ways, relevant to their relationship to me and my business. So the measure here is your network growing? And most importantly, is it growing with the right people? That's critical. The next number is, if you want to use LinkedIn this way, are you building a following? Are you building a following of people who are relevant to you? And so that's important to me as well. And then the last metric, which is probably by far the most important metric to determine is LinkedIn working for you, is how many business conversations have I had this week as a result of my activity on LinkedIn? I just wrapped up one a few minutes ago. How many business conversations have you had or career conversations if you're in career search have you had that's been a result of your LinkedIn activity? That's the most important metric right there. So you want to get focused when you're using LinkedIn. You don't want to be throwing spaghetti all over the place. And when you're building your profile, building your network and engaging, you want to make sure that you are focused on your target audience. And everyone on LinkedIn is not your target audience. I'm a LinkedIn strategist. Everyone on LinkedIn is not my target audience. Most people on LinkedIn can't afford me or can't justify hiring me. So you need to get focused on your target audience and know who they are. And the more clear you are as to who your target audience is, the more successful you're going to be. Now, I often drive down my target audience into this perspective. Who is the human in the role, in the company type, in the industry and region? And so I look at my target audience at different, it might vary a little bit at different times, but if I'm working on a campaign, I'm working on a marketing prospecting, I'm working on research, then I'm going to look at very clearly the human in the role, in the company type, in the industry, in the region. That's how I look at it. So I'm very much more focused on the human there. Now, we also need to be clear about who are our influencers. Who are the people that we can connect with, who can introduce us to the people that we want to have a conversation with and or connect with. That's important as well. So be focused on building out your network and be focused on who you're looking to have a conversation with. I'm not stand back up. Somehow or other, I really feel more comfortable standing up and looking at the camera than sitting down. So it's all in the words. When you're using LinkedIn, you need to make sure you're using the right words. And they have to be words that are relevant to your target audience and relevant to what you do for your target audience. And there's lots of ways to figure out what those words are, but you need to know what they are. And you need to use them throughout your profile, your content, your comments, and your company pages, et cetera, et cetera. So knowing your target audience and knowing the right keywords are the first two big steps to getting value out of using LinkedIn as a business tool. So I use the phrase professional LinkedIn profile often. Put the chat over here. I use the phrase professional LinkedIn profile because that differentiates the profiles that are out there that are lackluster from those that belong to people who cared enough to do it right. And a professional LinkedIn profile is not a resume. It's not. It's a brochure. Your resume is your ongoing obituary. It's not a business tool. A brochure focused on your target audience, keyword rich, is a business tool. And if you build your professional LinkedIn profile right, it'll act like a business tool for you. Use spell check, use grammar check. Don't make silly mistakes like the people who are mangers or pubic relations professionals on LinkedIn. That would be embarrassing and minimize the opportunity for you to be found. If someone's looking for public relations, they sure as heck ain't gonna find a pubic relations professional. Understand what content is included in your LinkedIn profile, what content should be included. And if it's not relevant, it doesn't belong in your LinkedIn profile. And when you're building a professional LinkedIn profile, you're speaking first person, you speaking to your target audience. This is the kind of training and coaching that I do when I do my LinkedIn one-on-one coaching, I do my mastermind groups, I do my webinar programs, or I do corporate training programs. This is vital. And all of that training is vital. So when you're building your professional LinkedIn profile, you want to minimize the distractions, minimize irrelevant content. minimize using content from your past, except for where it's relevant to who you are today. Show the viewer, most importantly, your most important viewer, your target audience, show them who you are as a human by showing them and telling them what you do, what you can do, what you have done, what you enjoy doing, your accomplishments throughout all the different sections of a LinkedIn profile. There's about 11 sections that are important to consider when you're building a professional profile. And then all the content needs to be relevant. All the sections you use need to be relevant to who you are and what you do today. A profile picture is important. Updated and accurate and tested contact information is important. Otherwise, you miss out on opportunities. Tell your target audience what you do for them rather than pitching your stuff or pitching your company. Any questions? Feel free to drop them in chat. Yes, I am recording this webinar. If you registered through Eventbrite, I have your email address and I'll send you a link to the recording afterwards. Send that out for everyone who shows up. I don't send out to people who registered and didn't show up. I kind of figured, it's more important for those who were here. Your LinkedIn network can become a vital asset. For me, my LinkedIn network is part of my most important asset in life. Listen to my words, my most important asset in my life. Now, my religion, my faith, my culture, my morals, and all that stuff, those aren't assets. Those are attributes. Assets are things that grow and appreciate or depreciate. And so, yeah, my $16 million 401 IRA portfolio that I have in my mind, that's not my most important asset. My most important asset are the people in my life, the people I meet along the way, the people I help and who can help me. And as you grow your LinkedIn network, you need to focus on making sure you're connecting with the right people, your target audience and their influencers. But you also need to be willing to connect with people who reach out to you, who may be looking for your help, your ideas, your perspectives, your insight. Because you never know when someone that you connect with, that you think that you're there to help them, and they turn around and they're able to help you. And so this is called networking for mutual benefit. This is a philosophy I've been teaching for years. I wrote the book back in, I think, 2010 or 11 on Amazon. And I integrate the networking for mutual benefit philosophies into my social media networking. So Dawn asks, when you comment on other people's posts, does it show the company you represent is communicating with them, or you personally, since you are linked together? So it's irrelevant to whether or not you're connected or not, Dawn. If Dawn is logged into LinkedIn and Dawn is on the news feed or on someone else's LinkedIn profile and their activity, and Dawn comments, Dawn is the one who commented. Your personal profile leads. Now, there is a way, and if you don't know what I mean by an actor company, then you can't do this, but you can use LinkedIn as an actor company and you can engage as a company. But you got to be careful doing that. That's the wrong way most of the time to engage. It's human to human engagement is far better than brand to human engagement. So great question, Dawn. Purposeful networking creates real value, and purposeful networking works this way. You want to find someone that you want to connect with and get into a conversation with, and you don't know them or they don't know you from Adam's house cat, don't send them an invite. Find a way to get introduced to them. If you find someone on LinkedIn, or you know someone and you want to have a conversation with them and you have no way to get introduced to them, find a way to bump into them. bump into their content on LinkedIn, bump into their content on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or wherever, so that they get to know you because you engage with them. And purposeful networking also means you engage immediately with every new connection. But the way you engage is directly relevant to their relevance to your brand or to your goals or to your business. Do not just connect to build up a big network. That doesn't work. And remember that, I can't remember who said this, people don't care what you know until they know you care. So show them you care with real, meaningful engagement. So you're building your LinkedIn profile. You're building your LinkedIn network. Here's where the magic happens. The magic happens in the social engagement. So, and most people just don't spend enough time doing this. They say this, hey, I don't have time to do that. And I often throw back this response. Really? If you are connecting with your target audience on LinkedIn, you're connecting with people who may have a need for your product or your service, or may be interested in what you do, and you don't have time to engage with them. So what are you doing? You're just collecting business cards? You don't have time to engage with your target audience and their influencers and people who you can build trust, respect, and like with, so that they can introduce you to more people that you may be able to do business with. It's a huge missed opportunity. And don't be that guy who you connect on LinkedIn, all you do is send them their brochure. Don't be that guy, all you do is send them a message, go, hey, I have the coolest widgets ever, I want to sell it to you. Don't be that person. Look for ways to get into conversations with your target audience and their influencers. And most importantly, try to get into conversation with them and make the conversation all about them until they give you permission to make it about you. Show your LinkedIn network that you're a human by being willing to get into human conversations. Human to human engagement. A meaningful comment is at least 6 words. I saw a post on LinkedIn today where a lady said a meaningful engagement is a minimum of 15 words. I think that's pretty powerful. And I engaged back with her with at least 15 words, but she was and is highly relevant to me. So meaningful in comments is important. Sharing content that is relevant to your target audience that can help you build your brand. And by the way, this is not necessarily your corporate content. This is not necessarily your logoed or your branded content. May not even be about your business at all. That's a pretty bold statement there. And that'll get you the greatest value if the content is not about you more often than not. And I have a edict, sometimes I refer to them as Teddyisms, and it is never do, say, or engage in ways you don't want to be seen, heard, or perceived of in life. Pretty easy to do. Often we forget it because we see an urgent need to respond when we probably shouldn't. Also, never touch any content that could diminish your brand or distract your target audience from your brand. Stay away from it. You don't need to engage with everything. And lastly, minimize those canned responses, canned comments, canned messages. They don't build your brand. Minimize doesn't mean I can't use them completely. Any questions, drop them in chat. So I did some research. This was in March, I did this. I did a poll and I asked this question. After you view someone's LinkedIn profile for the first time, what do you want to go look at next? And actually, I got to the point where I said, here's 4 things you can go look at. You can go look at their contact information. You can go look at their content. You can go look at their website, or you look at their company page. That was the question. And those are the 4 options. Contact information, content, website, or LinkedIn company page. about 50%, 49% said they want to look at their LinkedIn company page. That was pretty blunt to me. I'm like, cool. So they're looking at your profile, and the next thing they want to look at is your company page. Here's the problem. Most people on LinkedIn, not most, many, don't have their LinkedIn profile connected to the right company page. Or their company page is lackluster, or their profile is lackluster. And then the viewer is looking for more information, and their company page doesn't give them any better information. So it's a big, huge mistake all the way around. One second. Excuse me. So think about this. What does your LinkedIn profile say about you? Is it informative enough to get the attention of your target audience? And then secondarily, are you connected to your LinkedIn company page, or do you have a LinkedIn company page? And is that even more informative to your target audience about what you do for them? So I'm on task. That's the presentation. Next thing I want to do is ask questions. But before we go into Q&A, I just want to let you know that I'm making this offer available to everyone who comes to these monthly webinars. I have a 3-part webinar series. The first 2 sessions are group training, group webinar, okay, where we'll talk about your target audience. We'll talk about your influencers. This is an engaging session. This isn't a webinar. It's actually more of a meeting than it is webinar, because all the members of those 2 sessions get to have a conversation together. We'll talk about choosing the right words and building your LinkedIn profile. 2 hours of ideas, best practices, and tactics of doing all this work. The power of social listening. And everybody who comes gets the 4 current ebooks. Building a LinkedIn profile, full-blown ebook on how to build a profile. Building a LinkedIn network, full-blown instructions on how to build a network. Building a professional reputation using LinkedIn, full-blown reputation guide on how to use LinkedIn. And then the 20 questions about LinkedIn. And then everybody who comes also gets an additional bonus private one-on-one coaching session. You schedule at your own leisure. So this is the offer I'm making for everybody that shows up here. So as I'm trying to help you, and what I'm doing is I'm discounting this significantly for all of those that show up here. Typically, this sells retail for like $3.99. So I'm discounting the price for everybody who shows up here. If you want to get more value out of using LinkedIn as a business tool, all you got to do is ask me. Yeah, and I'll follow up today with this information for everybody who showed up. So at this point, I want to go to Q&A, and I want to answer any questions. And it's a small enough group here today that I'm going to allow everyone's microphones to be unmuted. So shouldn't have too much of a problem with this smaller group. So if you have a question, either drop it in chat, share your LinkedIn profile if you want me to use your LinkedIn profile in the discussion. And you can either ask me a question via chat, or I've allowed everyone's microphone to be unmuted. So you feel free to unmute yourself and ask any question. I hope you got some questions, because I really want to help you. And the best thing I can do is answer the question that's burning in your mind. Uh, is the name CD? Am I saying that right? You unmuted yourself. Can you? I can't hear you though. You've got a microphone. You may have a microphone problem. Maybe your microphone is muted or it's not plugged in. But
okay, are you hearing me now?
now I can hear you. I heard you go
Okay.
click. And Dawn, 1 second, Dawn, I'll answer your question. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, steady, yes.
Seti. What's the question you have, Seti?
Like, I don't know if I'm doing my own right. And do I have to have the paid one to get most of the functions?
You do not need to pay for LinkedIn to get most of the functions. Is that what your question was?
Yes.
Yeah, you do not. You can have a full-blown profile. You can build your LinkedIn network as big as you want to build it, focus on doing it right. You can have a company page, which apparently you don't have a company page. You do not need to pay for LinkedIn to get to most of the features.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just got to know how to use LinkedIn to make it work for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
So Dawn asked, what is your suggestion for a banner? Dawn, may I bring your LinkedIn profile up as a conversation? So I got to go find Dawn. I know where she's at. I think I've already looked at her profile. And Seti, I'm going to mute you until you have another question. So Dawn, I like this. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic for a personal profile. It doesn't need to be branded. Okay. Does not need to be branded. And for banner for your profile was a company page, and for your company page. So your company page could be branded, but look what happened when you scanned in that, you get this, all this space is not being used and this is replicated, say the logo is replicated. It's a little bit duplicate. I'd recommend you get someone to help you build this out and build it in the dimensions you're supposed to have. And I can't remember what that is on the top of my head. Hang on, I'll give you a suggestion. It might be, it's probably 4:1. It's 4 times as wide as it is tall. And, build a banner image that doesn't replicate the logo, maybe includes the messaging you want, but you really want to minimize words and you want to use imagery. So, yeah, it can be difficult. It can be difficult, that's for sure. So, but if you have the right size image, then it makes it easier. Let me go see if I can tell you that image size. 1120, there you go. Write that down, 1128 by 191. So your company page banner image should be 1128 wide by 191 tall. And that's a really obscure banner image, but that's what they want you to have. So what other questions do you have that I can help answer? Either unmute yourself or use the chat. How can you post company Facebook events on LinkedIn? So a couple things that come to mind. I'm all about cross-platform sharing. And you can do that. But you may not want to do it that deliberately. Hang on one second. Let me see something here. Oh, I don't want ad center. I want events. Where did events go? Here it is. So here's an event. Really, the easiest answer to that question is just to share it. Just basically grab that URL right there. 2H, is that it? What's that going to do? Yeah, copied the link. When I clicked on that and I clicked that, I copied the link. Now with the link, I can go to LinkedIn. I can drop that link in there. And it brings up the image. Now, on a personal profile, it's going to look something like that, which is, okay. Not as good. Now, by the way, what I didn't teach you yet is every time you share something, you always tell your target audience why you're sharing it. Why you always got to say why you're sharing it, whatever the answer is. I didn't do that, but that's useful. But check this out, show you something even better. And that is, if you want to share on your company page, let me get rid of that. Where's Dawn? Safe Harbor. I'm gonna go to my personal, my company page and show you a little trick. So if I go to my company page, if I share that there, so that's okay, but check this out. I can edit the title, okay? I can also change the image. So I can get a big image, a nice big image, and I can put a nice big image there and make it a hyperlink. You can't do that when you share third-party content, links, URLs on your personal profile. But as a company page, I can change the image. And, when I say this, and I remember, no matter where I share stuff, always say why. Now, when I share that, it's going to have whatever image I chose instead of the feature image that Facebook uses. And so now when I share that, it can look way more impressive. Again, when I share from a company page post, because I can change the image. You can't do that on a personal post. So you could share it. I'm sharing that with you, but I'm also going to share something else. And that is, you can create an event. So if you create an event, which I can't do, that's right, I can't do it here. I can create an event. Wait a minute, I thought I could. But from personal LinkedIn, no, I can create an event right here. Events, hit the plus. So now I can build that whole event, change which company I want to show up on for me personally or for my company page. And I can create that event. I have a logo image, a banner image. I can put it on my personal profile, event name, description, visibility is public, it's an online, and then I can put the URL and drive them from LinkedIn to register for that event by putting the URL. And I don't have to drive them straight to Facebook. I can drive them to the ticketing, wherever the ticketing is. I don't know where the ticketing is here. So lots of different ways of doing it. Either share the Facebook business page onto your business LinkedIn business page or your personal profile, or create a new event. So good question. What other questions do you have that I can answer for you? I got 10 more minutes. Either use the chat or unmute yourself. So if you don't have any more questions, I don't need to hold you up anymore. Just want to just remind you that what I'm trying to do is help people master using LinkedIn as a business tool for their business, for them personally, for their, whether it's a small business or large business. If I can help you with this in any way, please reach out to me. If you want to join the 3-part webinar series, it kicks off, I think it's in the 3rd week of every month. It's got, and one starts up this later this June. And just, ask me any questions or register and let me help you any way I can, either through the webinar or one-on-one coaching, or just ask me questions at any time. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Quora, or YouTube. So cool. All right. I want to stop sharing. I want to stop recording.